So we talked about mass conservation equation also, and we also talked about, after talking regarding volumetric deformation, we uh, considered some of the flow classifications. For example, earlier we talked about steady, unsteady, uniform, non-uniform flow, and after considering all these fluid deformations, we talked about compressible and incompressible flow, and rotational and irrotational flow. Just to do a little bit of revision, if I may say that. If your volume dilatation, or I can say volumetric deformation, is zero, there is no volumetric deformation, then we would say that our fluid flow is incompressible. And if there is some kind of volume deformation, then we would say that the fluid is compressible. Another way to say that would be that if by changing pressure there are density changes, or if there are temperature changes which are causing density changes, then I would say that it is a compressible flow. And generally, if there are flows happening at high speeds, then they are known as compressible flow. Just to give you an idea, if I am going above Mach number 0.3, then I would start seeing compressible flows, and below Mach number 0.3 we don't have compressible flows. And this is again about air. I'm talking about air here. So compressible and incompressible flow. And to make things simpler, our main objective once we are doing any study is designing. And for designing, we need to understand our phenomena first. And to understand the phenomena, it is always easy to simplify that phenomena. So there are different tools available for the simplification of those phenomena. For example, if your flow conditions are such that you can take it to be incompressible, then it makes lots of simplification. If a flow is like this, that you can, although the whole reality is three-dimensional, but through some simplifications, if you can consider only two-dimensional flow, again that would make your phenomena simple to study. So these are the kind of things which are used during analysis. तो एनालिसिस के टाइम पे ये सारी टेक्निक्स इसलिए आपको बताई जाती हैं कि कैसे आपका एनालिसिस आसान हो जाए। किसी भी कॉम्प्लेक्स प्रॉब्लम को पढ़ने के लिए कैसे आप डिफरेंट टूल्स यूज करके उसे आसान कर सकते हैं। सो there are certain simplifications or assumptions which are done to change your physical reality into a physical model. For example, I am considering incompressible two-dimensional flow, so it's a physical model which I have considered. Now there are certain other tools available for doing the mathematical modeling from that physical modeling, and those tools are again there to simplify our life. Stream function is one such way. Now, what is a stream function? Stream function actually is a mathematical function through a single function, you can define the two velocity components, okay, for the case which I am considering. तो स्ट्रीम फंक्शन एक ऐसा फंक्शन है जो कि अकेले एक फंक्शन को इस्तेमाल करके हम दो वेलोसिटी कंपोनेंट्स के बारे में बात कर सकते हैं। अब इस चीज की क्यों जरूरत पड़ी? जैसे कि हम डिफॉर्मेशन की बात कर रहे थे, वॉल्यूमेट्रिक डिफॉर्मेशन की बात करते हैं, वॉल्यूमेट्रिक स्ट्रेन की बात करते हैं, तो वहां पे क्या आता था? डेल यू बाई डेल एक्स प्लस डेल वी बाई डेल वाई। ये अभी टू डायमेंशन की बात हो रही है। अगर इसकी बजाय u और v दो इंफॉर्मेशन देने की बजाय अगर कोई एक फंक्शन ऐसा हो जो कि सिंगल फंक्शन लेकिन दोनों इंफॉर्मेशन दे दे, उससे हमारा इक्वेशंस भी आसान हो जाती हैं सॉल्व करना, और मैथमेटिकली या कंप्यूटेशनली अगर हमें कोई वर्क करना है तो उसमें भी आसानी हो जाएगी। जस्ट इमेजिन इट लाइक दिस कि आपको दो डेटा प्रोवाइड करने पड़ रहे हैं, u कंपोनेंट ऑफ द वेलोसिटी, v कंपोनेंट ऑफ द वेलोसिटी, और दूसरी तरफ आपको सिर्फ एक फंक्शन प्रोवाइड करना पड़ रहा है, सिर्फ एक वैल्यू प्रोवाइड करनी पड़ रही है। तो इससे बहुत सारी चीज़ें आसान हो जाती हैं पढ़ने में। So that's why string function is used. The use of string function can considerably simplify the description of incompressible two-dimensional flow. It is a function which satisfies the law of mass conservation. ये उस तरीके का फंक्शन है जो कि मास कंजर्वेशन के लॉ को सेटिस्फाई करता है। और अगर आपको याद हो मास कंजर्वेशन का लॉ, ये हम वॉल्यूमेट्रिक स्ट्रेन में लेक्चर नंबर 16 में भी अपना बताया था कि मास कंजर्वेशन क्या कहता है, dm/dt इज इक्वल टू 0, ठीक है। और वहीं से हमने वॉल्यूमेट्रिक स्ट्रेन के बारे में भी कुछ बात की थी। तो ये स्ट्रीम फंक्शन एक ऐसा फंक्शन है जो कि मास कंजर्वेशन को सेटिस्फाई करना चाहिए। अब जरा सा वॉल्यूमेट्रिक स्ट्रेन के बारे में देखते हैं। वॉल्यूमेट्रिक स्ट्रेन क्या है? वॉल्यूमेट्रिक स्ट्रेन रेट, चेंज इन वॉल्यूम पर यूनिट वॉल्यूम विद रिस्पेक्ट टू टाइम, ठीक है। तो आई कैन राइट इट लाइक दिस। ठीक, और ये वॉल्यूमेट्रिक स्ट्रेन मुझको मालूम है कितने के बराबर होता है, ये चेंज इन वेलोसिटी के बराबर होता है। यहाँ पे मैं इंडिसेस वाला नोटेशन यूज कर रहा हूँ, ui और xi, जहाँ के i मेरा वेरी करेगा x, y, z, ठीक है। ये जनरल एक नोटेशन मैं आपको यूज करके दिखा रहा हूँ। यानी कि वॉल्यूमेट्रिक स्ट्रेन रेट कितने के बराबर है, डेल u x डिवाइडेड बाई डेल x, डेल u y डिवाइडेड बाई डेल y, और डेल u z डिवाइडेड बाई डेल z, ठीक है। यानी वेलोसिटी कंपोनेंट उसी एक्सिस के अबाउट, उसमें क्या चेंज आ रहा है, ये वॉल्यूमेट्रिक स्ट्रेन के बराबर होता है। इतनी बात हमने पहले कर ली थी एंड वी ऑलरेडी न्यू अबाउट इट। अच्छा, now next, this d by dt, we already know about it, that this d by dt signifies that a specific particle is followed. ये d by dt, capital D by dt, this thing shows that this is a material derivative, okay, and we are talking about a particle. Now that particle, we know about it that its volume would be inversely proportional to density. If volume of that particle is increasing, then density would decrease. We know about that for a single particle. If I consider these equations 1 and 2, then I can write my equation 1 as this. Now this equation 3, it is nothing but a way of writing my mass conservation equation, and this is something which I have already shown in lecture 16 also. This is another way of showing the same thing. This equation 3 is called continuity equation. This equation 3 is known as continuity equation. What I did, I changed volume into density. So wherever I had volume, I changed it into density. Now, under certain conditions of fluid flow, the density variation in a flow are small. Okay? I'm not talking about density of fluid, I'm talking about density variations within the fluid flow. These are two different things. For example, air has a fixed density at a fixed condition of temperature and pressure. Okay? But when this air is flowing, where the temperature is not changing, okay, then because of the speed of flow, there can be variations in the density on top of the mean density. Okay, let's say the density of air is rho A. When it is not moving, air is not moving. Now air starts flowing, then it's a possibility that there would be some changes, increment or decrement in the density of air. It's a possibility, and that would be small as compared to the mean density. Now there are many cases in which this density variation in a fluid flow is very small. Now the most important condition is that your Mach number should be much less than 1, or the velocity of the fluid flow should be much less than the velocity of sound within that medium. For example, for the case of air, if Mach number is less than 0.3. Now, in this condition, we can take certain approximations, and this particular approximation is known as Boussinesq approximation. And you would see, if you would go to your higher fluid mechanics courses, you would see that this particular approximation makes our life much more easier once we are doing different studies. Using this approximation, we can simplify our equation a lot. So let us say, if I'm using this approximation, Boussinesq approximation, then what will happen? I can say that my density variation are very, very small, or I can say that they are so small that I can take them to be 0. Okay, so this is what I wanted to reach. This is the simplification which I have. So this equation 5, it provides me with the continuity equation for both steady and unsteady condition. So generally, for a two-dimensional flow, if I have a two-dimensional flow, then I can say that del u by del x plus del v by del y, this is Cartesian coordinates, is equal to 0. This is something which we have already done. This is nothing new. Now I am in a position that I can now start talking about stream function. At this point, after my equation 6, now if we define stream function psi for a two-dimensional case, okay, psi such that psi is a function of x, y and time t, such that I am defining phi in a way such that u is equivalent to del psi by del y and v is equivalent to minus del psi by del y. sorry. So u is equal to del psi by del y and v is equal to minus del psi by del x. If I do that, then this equation is satisfied. Equation number 3 is satisfied. Now please note here that the sign which I am using, note here the sign, this is not two parallel lines, this is not equal to, but it is equivalent. Now it is possible that in some of your books you won't find it with a negative sign. It's a possibility, don't worry about it. The main idea here is that your stream function should be such that it satisfies your mass conservation equation. Okay. Now for a compressible flow, a stream function can be defined if the motion is 2D and steady. Okay? So for an incompressible flow, if I am talking about an incompressible flow, then you can define your stream function for your unsteady case also, but for a compressible flow you can define a stream function for a 2D and steady flow. Now this is a short exercise for you. This is a short exercise for you. I have done the case for Cartesian coordinate system XYA, for an XY system. Now I want you to consider a steady axisymmetric flow. Axisymmetric flow means that it is symmetric about an axis. You need to consider compressible fluid. Okay, so what I am asking you is to consider a case where the coordinate system would be r, x and theta. Just to give you an example, if you are considering flow in a pipe, it would be something like this. So this would be your x-axis, this is your r, okay, complete radius, and the axis would be r, and this would be theta again. If I am saying axisymmetric, so it means your flow is symmetric about theta axis. Okay, about one axis it is symmetric. So consider that and then show that how the stream function could be defined so that it would satisfy your continuity equation. So this is something which I would like you to do. Try to do it. You need to do similar to what I have done in XY, and let us see what you can get. Now let's talk about what are the purposes of stream function. So one of the purpose of defining a stream function is that a stream function enables us to plot streamlines, and streamline helps us in visualizing how the flow is moving, and streamlines can also help in understanding that what are the different kinds of force which are acting on the fluid. The second is that it decreases the number of simultaneous equations which are to be solved for defining a flow. For example, the momentum and mass conservation equation for viscous flow near a planar solid fluid boundary are given by this. These are the two equations which you need to solve for finding a very simple viscous flow. If you solve these two equations, for example, you have a plate and there is fluid flowing on top of it, then these are the kind of equation which you would have to solve. Now I can modify this equation, okay, using stream function psi, and then using this one equation only you can solve using this one equation you can solve your system. Instead of solving two equations, you can solve just one equation which has psi, because I have already used psi in such a way that it already satisfies my continuity equation. So these are the benefits of using stream function. So what I have said before, let me say it again, that stream function allows us to mathematically represent two entities, the velocity components of a 2D incompressible flow using a single function. Now stream function, like I said, is defined in such a way, my function is defined in such a way such that u would be equivalent to del psi by del y and v would be equivalent to minus del psi by del x. Okay, so it is defined in such a way. In reality, psi is not something which exists. It is a mathematical tool which we are using to simplify our life. Okay, now this above definition of psi guarantees that any continuous function, okay, any continuous function automatically satisfies the 2D incompressible continuity equation, which is this del u by del x plus del v by del y. Okay, so I can say that if there is any function psi which exists which satisfies this equation, then it can be used for defining my u and v. That's what this is. Okay, another benefit of using psi, of using stream function, is to find the volume flow rate between two streamlines. Now consider a flow which I have shown here. In this flow, I have taken multiple streamline. One streamline is defined by psi1, another by psi2, another by psi3. If I want to find volume flow rate between any two streamline, the only thing I need to do is to do, let's say, psi2 minus psi1 would provide me with the volume flow rate between the two streamlines. Okay, that is another benefit of using stream function. So for example, if you would see here, volume flow rate can be calculated between streamlines psi1 and psi2. Okay, and this can be done in the way which we have shown. That let me consider a point A on streamline psi1 and a point B on streamline psi2. I know that streamline is a line on which my velocity is tangent. The components of this velocity v are small u along x-axis, small v along y-axis. If I want to find the flow rate using this line AB, okay, and considering unit depth perpendicular to the xy plane in the plane which is going inside this paper, okay, then volume flow rate can be very easily found. Volume flow rate is nothing but volume multiplied by I need to take the velocity and then I need to take the volume through which it is going. So volume flow rate is given here. I need to multiply velocity with the area and I would get my volume flow rate. So it is u dy multiplied by 1 unit depth, and this can be written in this way. Okay. Now, since x is constant along AB, therefore d psi is equal to del psi by del y dy, and therefore Q, my volume flow rate Q, would be equal to y1 to y2 del psi by del y dy. Now this thing is equal to this here, so I can change it into this psi 2 minus psi 1. Now in the same way that I calculated volume flow rate through AB, I can also calculate my volume flow rate using this line BC. I can do that also. So let's say for unit depth along BC, along the line BC, I am actually moving along x-axis. So this can be written as now, since y is constant along this line, so d psi would be only equal to del psi by del x dx. Therefore my volume flow rate would be equal to, again psi 2 minus psi 1. So I can say that the volume flow rate per unit depth between two streamline can be written as the difference between the constant values of psi defining the two streamline. So that is the benefit of using streamline function. Now since the volume flow between two streamline it is constant, the velocity will be relatively high whenever streamlines are close together and relatively low whenever they are far apart. What they are saying here is this: let's say if you would see that there are streamlines which are in this way, that at some place they are farther away, at some another location they are close together. Now since the volume flow rate between any two streamline is constant, it's not changing, we are talking about incompressible flow. So it means that whenever you would see that the streamlines are farther away, it means that the velocity would be relatively slower, and whenever streamlines are close together, you would find that the velocities would be relatively higher. Now let me talk about r theta plane. I have done about xy plane. Now for a 2D incompressible flow in r theta plane, the conservation of mass equation, which is what we got using volumetric strain equation, if you know from before. So this can be written as del by del r times Vr, where Vr is the velocity component along r axis, plus del V theta, where V theta is the velocity component along theta axis. This is like this. So when I was saying it's an axisymmetric flow, so it is changing with respect to r or theta, but along the direction of x, it is not changing. So it is that kind of case. For this case, stream function can be defined. If I want to write the stream function for this, stream function is such that it is r theta t stream function. Depending on r theta t, I can define it in such a way that Vr would be equal to 1 by r del psi by del theta, and V theta would be equal to minus del psi by del r. Okay. Now, if I want to consider a two-dimensional steady but compressible flow, two-dimensional steady but compressible flow in xy plane, psi can be defined. But for a compressible flow, I would have to introduce density also. So now psi would be defined in such a way that rho u would be equal to equivalent to del psi by del y, and rho v would be equivalent to minus del psi by del x. Okay. For this case, if I want to find psi 2 minus psi 1, then it would give me mass flow rate. For an incompressible flow, psi 2 minus psi 1 was giving me volume flow rate, and for a compressible flow, two-dimensional steady compressible flow, psi 2 minus psi 1 would give me mass flow rate. So this is all about stream function. This finishes the stream function. Now what I would like you to do is that you have today and tomorrow go through your book and read stream function again, and once we would be back on Wednesday, we would again revisit this stream function. There are certain solved problem available in both of your books. Go through that also, and then we would come back on Wednesday and talk about stream function again. If you have any queries, then let me know. Any confusion, any queries, you can let me know now also, or Wednesday when we would start our class, we can discuss then also. If you don't have any queries, then I would like to finish our session for today. Any questions, anyone?
Sir?
Yes.
Sir?
क्या कह रहे हैं जी यूसुफ? हाँ, इसको अपलोड कर देंगे. ठीक है. ओके एवरीवन.